Are you ready, podcast? Time to demonstrate. Rachelle Logan, the etiquette queen, teaching us all how to thrive in the scene. Etiquette queen, she's on the scene. Professional development, living the dream. Public speaking, bridging the gap. Success is a journey, ain't no looking back. Knowledge is power, that's the truth. Learn it from the best.
I am Lady Rachelle. This show is brought to you by Rachelle Logan Media Corporation. Discover your potential with Rachelle Logan Media Corporations. They offer online professional development classes for adults, children's coloring etiquette books that can make wonderful Christmas and birthday presents, crisis communications playbook, and a unique mannerism book for all of your professional development needs. Your journey to becoming the best version of yourself starts here. Visit RachelleLoganMedia.com for more information. Today's show will be on an amazing topic. I'm sure a lot of you either know someone or have some family members that are affected by this. This is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. And today I have a special guest that will talk to you about some things that she is going through and also some things that you may not know about Down syndrome. Her name is Melanie Smith Simon. Welcome, Melanie.
Hi, thank you, Rachelle.
Thank you so much for being here. I know, and I've been around some groups that support Down syndrome, and I must tell you that beautiful, special children. That this is what they are. And could you tell my guests a little bit about yourself?
Again, well, first I'd like to say thank you so much for having me on your show today.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
I'm very excited. Again, my name is Melanie Smith Simon. I am the founder and CAO, Chief Advocate Officer for Smart Me Educational Products. I am a lifelong educator, having served children across the country in various facets of education, including publishing 17 educational workbooks and other educational resources for children in preschool through fifth grade. I am a licensed attorney. I'm an advocate. I'm the wife of a 30-year Army retired officer, and I am the beyond proud mother of 4 amazing young adults, one of whom is a person with Down syndrome.
Yes.
Yes.
And I know that one child, a beautiful young lady.
Thank
you.
you.
And I have met her and hugged her, and she's hugged me, and and we bonded so well.
The best hugs.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about what Down syndrome is.
Sure. Down syndrome is a chromosomal disorder. It is caused by the triplication of the 21st chromosome in the body. And it results in intellectual disabilities and other health issues in people who are born with it. And there are actually 3 types of Down syndrome, which people actually don't know. One type is trisomy 21. That is the most common type. 95% of the people born with Down syndrome have that type, and which is the type that my daughter has. So that is where every cell in the body has that 21st chromosome, that extra chromosome attached to the 21st chromosome. Then there is another type called translocation. The similarities between trisomy 21 and translocation are pretty much the same in terms of how it affects a person.
Okay.
But one of the extra chromosomes attaches to a different chromosome in the body instead of the 21st chromosome.
Okay.
Then there's a third type, and translocation only affects about 3% of people born with Down syndrome. But the third type, which I think is a very interesting type, is called mosaic Down syndrome. And mosaic Down syndrome affects about 2% of people born with Down syndrome. And the way it's a mixture of cells. So some of the cells in the body have 3 extra chromosomes, and the rest of the cells in the body have the normal 2 copies of chromosomes. The interesting thing about Mosaic Down syndrome is that depending on the percentage of normal cells in the body, these people can literally live typical lives.
Wow.
They have oftentimes little physical features of Down syndrome, and intellectually and how they function in life is pretty normal.
So it's sort of like a high functioning?
So children with trisomy 21 and translocation can also be considered high functioning.
Okay.
But with Mosaic, those who have that higher percentage of normal cells, they literally can drive. Some of the actors that you might see with Down syndrome, they are probably Mosaic.
Wow.
They read, they graduate from college, things like that. So higher functioning on steroids, if you will.
Okay, I find it fascinating because we do see a lot of people with Down syndrome more on screen now and participating and working and doing things like what, I always say normal people do. And I know you've worked diligently with groups that help, and you've gotten your daughter to a point where if you didn't tell us, we wouldn't know almost, because she just right there with all the other people, just doing her thing and being who she is as an individual. And so what was it like to raise a daughter with Down syndrome?
It has its challenges, but I like to just say this first. That's why Down Syndrome Awareness Month is so important.
Right.
Because during this month of October, we bring awareness to Down syndrome.
Right.
We promote inclusion and acceptance of these amazing people. They are capable. And believe it or not, it hasn't been that long since people with Down syndrome were no longer being institutionalized.
Right.
So when you think about just like, let's say 30, just a little over 30 something years that these people now have the opportunity to enter into society, to work, to get married. Do you understand what I'm saying? So these things, the inclusion, the acceptance, the awareness is what's allowing these people to be able to have opportunities in society to be great. Some of the challenges with my daughter have been minimal, to be honest. She is, as you stated, pretty high functioning. I feel very blessed in that area because the range is pretty significant. There are some people with Down syndrome who are on the more extreme, more severe side, and there are those who function pretty well. So with my daughter, it's been a few health issues and a few health challenges. Of course, she was delayed in learning in some of those things and continues to be. But it's about continuing constantly giving them resources and ways and opportunities to grow and just become great.
She is the happiest child, and I don't want to say child because she's not a small child, but always smiling, always happy, and you almost think if everybody had that level of joy in their lives, and I'm sure it's not because she has Down syndrome. It's just who she is as a person, and the credit goes to you and your husband and family because she's a happy person. Every time I've seen her, she runs, she gives me a hug, and it's a genuine hug. You can get the fake things every now and then, but she is a genuinely wonderful, wonderful young lady. And I really haven't had a lot of friends that have had children with special needs like this. So, I didn't even think about that when I first met her. That wasn't the first thing I thought, but you had already told me, and I'm thinking, no, she's not.
Most people kind of feel that way when they meet Malia and even talk with her. May I say something real quick about the happy person part?
Yes.
Because most people, and if you were to look up about Down syndrome, they would say that is a myth, right? And this is very funny because, again, I feel very, very blessed
Right.
that Malia is a very overall happy person, and she is.
Yes.
But let me tell you, people with Down syndrome, they are just like all of us, okay? They go through emotional changes. They can be some of the most stubborn people that you ever want. I'm serious. And so it really is a myth because people really believe that. They believe that they're always so happy because they are loving, right? She gives the best hugs, okay?
Gosh.
And when you have met her and seen her, she's always happy. And
Yes.
she'll look at you and she'll smile and she'll tell you how pretty you are, right? And that's Malia. So I'm very blessed and fortunate in that way. But I have met some people with Down syndrome who do not smile, don't want you to talk to them.
Just mad at everybody and just leave me alone
So
kind of thing.
they are just like you and me. They have their emotions, their ups and downs. So
Wow.
yes.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that I didn't see that part of her because she is an amazing young woman and I always love seeing her. And but listen, we have to take a quick break, and it's important that we understand that this month is meant to bring awareness to Down syndrome.
Yes.
So when we come back, we will continue talking to Melanie, and she will give us probably some good news stories, and then maybe some resources or some things that you can do if you know of someone or if you have a family member that is suffering from this. And I won't say suffering because
Definitely not suffering.
it's not suffering. So, but people that have the condition, I'll just say it that way. So we'll be right back with the Are You Ready show. This is Lady Rachelle, the voice of the community. Welcome back to the Are You Ready show. This is Lady Rachelle. Are you looking for an inspirational speaker? Rachelle Logan is ready to energize your school, community, or business with her mannerisms professional development tips. Connect with Rachelle on YouTube at Rachelle Logan Media and Instagram at Lady Rachelle 1. Welcome back, Melanie.
Thank you.
This has been uplifting and educational and inspirational, all the things that I stand for this show. Now, we've talked about the causes and some of the things that go along with having Down syndrome. Now, give me my listeners some tips on things they can do, like early intervention or things like that.
Okay. So early intervention, in my opinion, is key. It really sets the tone for how that child with Down syndrome is going to progress.
Okay.
So early intervention typically happens right after birth, usually around 3 months. And it involves speech therapy, occupational therapy, and physical therapy.
Okay.
So in my case, all of those therapists came to my home for 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
So as I stated earlier, the development intellectually and physically, they're delayed. So they sit up later than normal. They crawl later than normal, walk later than normal. So early intervention is critical so that they can get the work that they need,
the motor skills
and development that they need to start functioning and moving as early and as quickly as they can in order to be to grow and be successful.
And it worked.
It worked with Malia. It
Yes.
really did. And of course, again, I have to say that, and I just have to thank God for it, honestly, because I was in a different place. And I'll just go back just quickly. When Malia was born, I did not know she was going to have Down syndrome. I noticed, actually, that she had Down syndrome, and I told the NICU nurse she has Down syndrome. But in that moment, I never grieved like a lot of mothers do, right? Because when you have a child, you have so many expectations, and you think that, you want the best for your child. You want this quote-unquote perfect child.
Right.
Well, I felt that Malia was perfect. I felt that she was a gift from God to me. I never had that process. So for me, when the therapists started coming to the house, listen, Malia was doing little sit-ups at 3 months old. I'm pulling her up and down and moving her up and down. I'm moving those little legs across the floor. I did everything that I could do to help her move along and progress.
Right.
And I had two older children at the time, so of course they were also there to help and to encourage her along. So early intervention would be by far the most
Absolutely.
important thing that I would say to parents of children with special needs of any kind, to make sure that they get those services as quickly as possible.
And seeing her now, you can tell that, like I said, I wouldn't have known really if you hadn't said anything. She speaks well. She understands things,
And all of that took work, it really, really did. And just from the speaking and more intellectual part of it, and hopefully I'll have an opportunity to come back on your show again and speak more
Yes.
about Smart Me,
Yes.
the business and educational side of what I do. But when I'm an educator, and I knew that Malia would have difficulties learning. And so I got to work at 3 months old creating resources for her to learn, right? Visual aids.
because you probably couldn't find them anywhere, or if they were so limited in general nature.
And children with Down syndrome learn pretty much the same way that other children
Okay,
learned. I
okay.
honestly can't tell you, and I don't know if there were resources out there, to be honest with you, because
Yeah.
the Lord placed Smart Me on me.
Yeah.
He really did. And
Yeah.
I created those resources to help
Yes.
Malia. And I introduced her to those resources at like 11 months old, and all the way up until she started public preschool at 3 years old. She was working, learning, growing
Wow.
constantly. And so that makes the difference.
Yes.
And I can't impress upon parents enough, right? I know it's difficult. I know it's hard. I know it's a challenge. But we have to dig deep,
Yes.
and we have to say, this is a blessing. Every child is a blessing.
Yes.
Every child is a blessing, and we have to see our child as a blessing, and we have to do everything that we can to help them grow and reach their full potential.
As you would any
As
of
you
your
would any
other
child.
Yes.
And when we do that, we change the world, especially with these children with Down syndrome. And that's what I love about Down Syndrome Awareness Month. That's what I love about my daughter, Malia, because she shows up in all the things that she does and shows the world how capable she is.
I'm just so glad you even told me about this, and I wish that there were other marketing tools that we could use to get the information out there, because I'm sure a lot of people don't even realize that this is Down Syndrome Awareness Month,
Right? That's
the
true.
month of October,
Yes.
every single year.
Every single year.
So listeners, please remember that this is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. Reach out to maybe your local newspaper
The
and
national.
tell them to highlight some things, and either local or national level, because there are children all over this world who have this who have Down syndrome. So what about how they learn?
So children with Down syndrome learn like every other child
Wow.
learns. They really do. There's no special formula. There's no special curriculum. In fact, many children with Down syndrome are mainstreamed into regular classrooms.
Okay.
It just depends. The biggest thing with children with Down syndrome and how they learn is that, especially early on, they need more visual aids.
Yes.
Right? They
Yes.
need more visual prompting and things like that. And then they need continuous learning.
Repetitiveness.
So repetitive learning,
Yes.
especially early on. And I can't emphasize that enough. And they go to school, and they're in school for, let's say, instruction in a 6-hour school day. Instruction's about 4 hours.
Right.
But you're in a classroom of 8 to 12 or even more students
Wow.
that have all these diverse needs.
Right.
Your child is not getting what they need. So there is work that you have to do
Right.
at home
Right.
to continue the learning process. you have to do it.
That home learning is so important.
It's important.
Because the schools are so overwhelmed now
Yes.
with just a standard curriculum. So if you know your child has this, you become the teacher at home.
At home, yes. You
Because-
create a culture of learning at
Right.
home. It becomes what you do, and you will be amazed at what your child will do, how they'll grow, how they'll learn, and how they will literally reach
Wow.
success. Yes.
I mean, I am so impressed by her. I just, we connected so quickly with that smile. And you saw in church.
Yes, all the time. She
Everybody
loves
just want, I mean, my arms go out to her and her arms go out to me.
I think she looks for you because when she sees you, she says, she hits me. That's Miss
Oh
Rachelle.
my gosh. She
I
is
love
just
it.
amazing. I mean,
Yes.
just a warm individual. So, but people understand that they are just as normal as anybody else.
They are.
So, please, please, please check with your local newspaper or whatever to make sure that they highlight this month.
Yes.
Because you'll be surprised at the accomplishments that children with Down syndrome are doing now. They are surpassing probably every single limit or whatever that people said that they would be limited to. They are
Yes.
surpassing those limits.
And it's amazing because, as I stated earlier, just 30-something years ago, they were literally being institutionalized.
Yes,
So
yes.
just think, if we allow them, if we give them the tools, the resources
Yes.
to grow and
Yes.
become, what is the little Malia?
Right.
What is the
Right.
little Malias, 2 and 3 years old right now? What are they going to
Absolutely.
become? So I'm
Absolutely.
so excited to be a part of that journey with Smart Me, as we'll talk about it another time.
Right.
But I do want to say this in terms of Down Syndrome Awareness Month. We're on our phones all the time.
Yes.
On Facebook,
Yes.
on YouTube. When you're scrolling through and you see National Down Syndrome Society or any
Right.
organization that is highlighting Down syndrome awareness, please stop,
Yeah.
take a look,
Yes.
share,
Yes.
because that's the only way that the awareness is going to go out.
Absolutely.
I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/@smartme123,
Okay.
and Malia's on there doing great things.
Wow.
She's showing the world what she can do.
Right.
And there's many other YouTube stations out there, channels out there that are highlighting these amazing people. So please, as you're scrolling through your social media, stop, share, follow, subscribe. It goes a long way.
Could you please say your YouTube channel again?
Yes, it is youtube.com/@smartme123.
Wonderful.
And then also on Facebook,
Okay.
Smart Me Malia, Melia, Smart Me Malia.
Wonderful. And I've been on there, and I mean, you just fall in love with her just like everybody else has. And Melanie will be back on a future show to discuss Smart Me.
Yes.
And let me tell you, her heart and soul, and like a Southerner say, she put a foot in this company because her emphasis on helping, educating, uplifting is remarkable. And you know, my show is all about discipline, respect, and self-confidence. And I think Melanie has done all of those
Thank you.
with Malia. I mean, you can't go wrong when you make sure that your child reaches her potential.
That's right.
You can't go wrong with that. And like she said, it's work, but hey, that's why God gave her to Melanie, because she knew she was going to put the work in.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we are out of time. Thank you so much, Melanie, for being
Thank
here.
you.
This has been wonderful.
This was wonderful. Yes.
Please join me each week at the same time for information that will help you bridge your gap to being the best version of yourself. Are you ready for what's next for you? See you next week. Thank you for watching my channel. Be sure to check out my website, RachelleLoganMedia.com. You can find the link in the description. I also have an online school teaching public speaking, etiquette, and much more. I also wrote multiple books for adults and children that will teach you to become the best version of yourself. Thank you, and see you next time.